There is a certain amount of science behind how people match, and money is absolutely a factor. If you're on the back foot in your own life, if you're not reaching your own kind of goals on your own, you're going to be looking for someone to save you. There's a lot of really eligible single men out there. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of money, but still argue about money within their relationship.
Mairead Loughman, you were formerly a financial advisor and then you went into matchmaking. It's not a commonly known kind of career path. So can you tell me how that came about?
Like, I was a financial advisor for 6-7 years, and it was during the Celtic Tiger, so everything was fabulous and the commissions were amazing and all the different things that go with it. But then, of course, the recession hit, and it was not a nice place to be in the world, in Ireland, working in financial services at that time. So I struggled through it. I was advising doctors on their finances, and because they were obviously high net worth clients, what you had was a situation where a lot of them were in big financial holes. And like at this stage, I was only in my mid-20s, we'll say. At this stage, I was well into my career, a couple of years into it. But it was very difficult time. So I said, right, to hell with this. I'm not doing this anymore. What do I want to do? So I changed completely. I started working for an entrepreneur. I managed all 8 of his businesses. A lot of them were online businesses. There were event companies, travel companies, that sort of thing. And then I just was kind of getting to the stage of my career where I was starting to get quite comfortable. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I've been working my ass off for the last few years, and I would like to, I suppose, just change it completely and just see what else do I want to do with my life. So I was single. I decided, right, here it is. Let's just change to something. So I started looking into matchmaking as a thing anyway, because it's what nicer thing than to help people find love. And I just loved it, immediately loved it. And I launched these dating events. So that's 9 years ago now. And I launched these dating events called A Table for Six around the same time, where I sent 3 single ladies and 3 single men on group dinner dates. And it literally just took off. Within 3 months, I had 8,000 people on the waiting list. And Love HQ was born. It was straight up matchmaking, dating events, everything. And it just became a phenomenon overnight, basically.
Wow. So it just went gangbusters, and that was it. Your decision was made then, I guess, that this was the new career for you.
That was it, and I just loved it. What's better rewards than helping people to find love? You're meeting people at the very beginning stages. Most people that come to me are a little bit lonely, and they're kind of thinking, I have, a lot of them are successful. They've done a lot with their life already, but they're thinking, I'd like to have someone now to share that with. So you're getting them, they're coming to you a little bit lonely, a little bit lost, have well-established lives, and you're bringing them right through, introducing them to people. And what better rewards than people texting you to say, oh, we got engaged at the weekend, we had a baby at the weekend. There's no greater feeling than coming into work at 8 a.m. on a whatever morning and just seeing a photograph of a baby that's actually been born because you matched their parents. Yeah. So it's great. It really is a very special thing. I've been doing it, as I said, 9 years now. I've matched over 10,000 people. I match people of all walks of life, all age groups, all over Ireland. I travel around Ireland meeting clients. So I hold consultations in Dublin, Galway, Cork, Limerick, Kilkenny, Mullingar and Naas every month, at least once every month. I'm in each of those locations, and it's just incredible, really.
Tell me about these consultations, because I'm curious about them from a financial point of view. How often, if at all, does money come up when somebody comes to you and tells you what they're looking for in a partner? It
comes up a lot more often than you would think, okay? There's subtle ways of saying it. So, I've only probably heard out of those 10,000 people, he needs to be loaded a few times. But there's subtle ways of saying it.
At least they're straight talkers.
But, realistically, you need to be financially compatible. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be earning the same amount of money as each other. It just means that you're compatibility-wise, i.e. how you decide to spend your money and how you decide to spend your time. So what's your importance on saving? What's your importance on work-life balance and going off on holidays and having nice things? So there's a level of compatibility, because if you actually think about it, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of money but still argue about money within their relationship. So it is important, obviously. How men and women differ in that successful men really don't care what their lady does in a lot of cases. Very successful men is what I would say, because they want to be natural born providers. They have everything already. They're just looking for the person, is what I would say. Now, realistically, that's not going to be everybody. what you have in most cases are normal people right throughout Ireland that have their job, that have worked on their careers, have gotten to the stage where they'd like to meet somebody. And so they need to have someone that is also, I suppose, financially compatible to them. So what you might look at is, sometimes I get successful ladies, how they date is different than, or what they're looking for.
Tell me what they're
financially
looking
compatible.
for.
How that works is like women are hypergamous and men are hypogamous. This is the whole psychological thing. Women
don't
date
know what that-
across,
okay.
right? Across all levels and upwards. So height, age, job title, social status, those sort of things. They try to date across those levels and upwards. So they like ask me to meet a guy that's slightly older than them, slightly taller than them, those sort of things. Men are hypogamous. They date across all levels and downwards. So they tend to want to meet women that are slightly younger, slightly shorter than them. But then it comes to like the financial and the business side of things as well, like, the work side of things. Men would like to meet ladies that are similar career to them or earning slightly less. And ladies then obviously the opposite. They'd like to meet somebody earning similar to them and slightly more. Which can sound, it's people say to me then, oh, so women are gold diggers. They absolutely are not. What happens is the biggest financial decision you will ever make is actually who you decide to have a relationship with. And also, especially if you would like to have a family with them, because it's going to be how your whole household is run. It'll make a decision as to where you live, how many children you have, what type of house you live in, how many holidays a year you're going to have. All of those things are affected by the person that you're with. So when you're in a situation where you're like trying to find a soulmate and someone to fall in love with, we are thinking there's so many things going on in the background. But I think people should be more conscious about it. How will this affect all areas of my life? Now, I wouldn't be just choosing someone. I would always choose love over money, 1,000,000%, because it's a long old road. But, people, there is a certain amount of science behind how people match, and money is absolutely a factor.
Wow. So tell me, how soon into a relationship should you have financial conversations? By which I mean, to get a sense of how much they're earning, how much debt they're in, what their financial goals are, those kind of big, important
I think
questions.
organically, when you start dating someone, kind of how they are financially. So if there's somebody has a lot of debt, you'll kind of hear certain types of conversations from them that they have a lot of debt. Now, debt is okay once they have a plan to get out of debt. You have a situation as well for some people, they might have an issue with gambling. If you start dating someone, you hear, okay, they're a little issue with gambling, or to be honest, any sort of addiction. That to me would be a little bit of a red flag about what type of conversations you need to be having. But the thing is to have the conversation. Most couples starting out don't have to talk about money. They're being swept off their feet. They're talking about dates, where they're going to go on holidays, what they're going to wear in their dates, all of these lovely things. But it is important to talk about money, of course. If it's a case you start talking about money with them and there's like this kind of lack of transparency or something, that again would be a bit of a red flag. But you should be able to have the conversation with them. If somebody was like, oh, I don't like talking about money, or I don't like, these big conversations or whatever. When you're dating someone, the right person hears you differently. So what I mean by that is you can say to them, how many kids do you want to have? And they're not like, oh, you're after frightening me away and run away. You can have all of these conversations. The actual issue is, if they're not able to have a conversation about life stuff, if they're not able to have a conversation about finances, the issue there is actually communication problem. And a communication problem is just as big as financial issues. So it is in a relationship, because that's how you're going to survive absolutely everything in your life. So there is a balance there. But I would say you kind of start hearing little things as to, you can kind of see what their financial roadmap is. And, just say it as it is. People kind of complicate it. Oh, I can't say this to them. I can't ask them this. Just ask. Just be transparent. Just communicate properly. If this is supposed to be your person, you're not going to mess it up. And if they're not supposed to be your person, all the red flags will show up. Just see them and hear them.
Yeah. What do you think of splitting the bill on the first date?
This is a funny one because I get asked this a lot.
Okay.
When it comes to dating, there are no rules. So that's the very first thing. But splitting the bill to me is an absolute no-no. So I don't split the bill with friends. I don't split the bill with family. I don't split the bill with my partner. Never have. So why would you do it on a first date? As far as I'm concerned, like, I get this one, this be my shout, you get the next one, and off you go. If somebody can't buy you a cup of coffee, a plate of food, a drink, you know, we're not saying you need to be brought down to Gibo's or anything like that on the first date. But if they can't do that, even for the first date, the chances are they're not going to be financially compatible with you anyway. They need to start working on their finances first before they can date.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would just say no splitting of the bill. Just be romantic. Also, I'd say is if you are going to get the bill, just do it seamlessly. Don't make a big deal about it. And if somebody does get the bill on a first date, say thank you. I actually had a client down the west of Ireland, a very successful business guy. I sent him on a date with a fabulous lady, ticked all his boxes, but he rang me about, I'm going to say 5-6 weeks later, and he said to me, Mairead, I have been on 9-10 dates with this lady. Oh. He said, she's fabulous. He said, I've paid for every single one of them. No problem. He said, I'll pay for everything for her for the rest of her life. But she didn't offer once. And so he actually ended it with her. He said, because I just don't get a good vibe from that alone. Ooh. And so he said, I wouldn't have let her pay.
Yeah.
But she didn't offer. And he said that they'd gone for dinner, had a very romantic dinner, had a great time, but they went for a drink afterwards and she didn't even say, here, I'll even get the drink.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it left a bad taste in his mouth. And that's the thing. He would have paid for everything for the rest of her life. No problem. But that just didn't sit well with them.
Likewise, do you get that kind of feedback from women the following day or after a few dates? Like, you know, like he itemised the bill or he had a Velcro stretch or a Velcro open wallet, or
I've actually, do you know what? I've seen the Velcro open wallets in the middle of consultations, and I'm like, stop for a second. What is that?
Oh,
no,
really?
Get rid of that. Yeah. Oh, straight away. Or these mobile phone cases that have all the different pockets in them when they're all like tattered and everything. I'm like, just come on, we can get yourself a new phone case or something.
Yes.
But that's part of being a matchmaker. You are trying to help people to succeed. You are trying to give them maximise the chances of their success, the probability of their success. And I suppose being a financial person, I'm always looking at probability. How can we increase the success rates and everything like that? But no, like I hear it back as well from ladies. Sometimes they're like, he just seems extremely tight, or he keeps on saying to me, oh, that's so expensive and that's so expensive and that's so expensive. Nobody wants to be reminded of that. We all know we're going through a cost of living crisis. We all know everything's after getting expensive, and you can bring it up from time to time. But when it's a constant, or especially I think ladies when they're really tight, you have to remember women have a lot to lose when they get married, or they have, especially if they're going to have kids. If you think of a couple, so a lot of my clients are, very successful people, or even all walks of life really. But I do have a lot of successful people. So say a couple that are both on €100,000, and say they decide to have kids. So within the first 6 months, obviously she's pregnant, everything like that, and they're on the same salary. But as soon as she has that baby, she goes on maternity leave. And for most companies in Ireland, they don't get given maternity benefit in the private sector.
Yeah.
So what they go on is €289 per week for the maternity benefit. So over the course of the 6 months or the 26 weeks that they're off on maternity leave, that's €7,500 basically. So there's €50,000 that her partner has after been earning during that time, and she's only after earning €7,500. Now think to yourself, okay, that lady's going to have 3 kids with this man. There's €100,000 that she's less after earning over the lifetime of having her 3 babies. So they have a lot more to lose. They need to see if a man is going to be somewhat of a provider, if he's going to be fair and reasonable when she's on maternity leave, because they are making life decisions together. It's just as much his child as it is hers.
Absolutely.
And so all of these things need to be a little bit communicated before you start going, I suppose, moving in together, deciding to get engaged, deciding to get married, all of those things.
Yeah. And, I would add to that, it's like women retire with smaller pension pots. You know? And also, the more kids you have, the more of an impact that has on your state pension benefits, So
Absolutely.
It can be pretty seismic.
Yeah, and like we're just talking about there, 2 people that are maybe €100,000, so they're equal, okay? So like earning capacity and everything. But like that's not always the case. For some people, they like their husband might be earning more, the wife, male or female, male, it doesn't matter. But there is a discrepancy in pay. So it is a very important decision.
And yet there are studies which show that married people tend to earn more money.
Yes, so
why is that?
They say that married men especially, earn up to 20% more than single men. And I suppose it's the responsibility side of things. Like, they kind of can't sit in their hands. They have to go, okay, let's go. And especially if their partner does go off on maternity leave, they are going to have to foot the bill to a certain extent while she's off on maternity leave. When I say off, you'd swear she's on a holiday, but when they're otherwise engaged, looking after and keeping a little human alive. Yeah. So they tend to earn up to 20% more. They're more likely probably to go for the promotions, and also if you think of like the employer, if you were interviewing people and you've got like, a guy that's really solid, goes on his 2-week holiday a year and has the kids at home and kind of life is running smoothly, versus a guy that's off on stag parties every second weekend and everything, you're probably more likely to pick them for the role, the married guy.
Do you think?
It depends. It all depends. Now, on saying that, like, my business is single men, single women. Yeah. I have some hugely successful men, hugely successful women on my books. And you have a situation where I don't know if it's overall, but on average, the studies have shown 20% more. We'll say maybe that's on the average salary, but I definitely would say that there's a lot of really eligible single men out there.
But on that note, like, why do they earn more? I also think it's probably just having somebody there to motivate you and give you that push and that nudge, because there's nobody really else in your life who's like, that deadline is Friday for that CV. Did you send it in? Did you send? Like, your friend's not going to do that.
No,
your family member. Yeah, it feels like that. You only really get that kind of relationship in a romantic relationship.
Yeah, in a good romantic relationship. Not always. What I would have noticed in my own career when I was single, it just after the lockdown, I was so busy. So it was, because obviously my business is matching people. So during all the lockdowns, things had to quieten down. And when that opened back up, it just got absolutely crazy. Like, there was up to 100 consultations a week. It was just 24/7 matching. And it got to the stage, kind of March time. It was just after Valentine's Day. I was after doing all the media for Valentine's Day, and it got to March and I was just completely burnt out. And to the point where I couldn't decide where I was going on holidays. I couldn't decide where I was going to, I couldn't make a decision. So I just sat down one day and I just said, right, I'm going to book the flights today, and then tomorrow I'll book a hotel, because I just needed a break. I was that burnt out. And went off my holidays, had a great time. Like, it was a couple of months later then I met my partner. And when I met him, I have never been burnt out since. There's a whole psychology there of, by having a romantic partner, like, all you need is 7 minutes a day to talk to somebody. And when you're a single person, you're working completely, you're living on your own, you're going to work. A lot of people at the time were working from home. A lot of them had burnout, stress and anxiety. When you have somebody in your life and you can talk to them and share your problem, they say 7 minutes is enough. I'm telling you, it clears your head better. I would also say that it has a better effect on your career as well, because I've never been burnt out since. I've never gotten to that level of stress, because I would say to him, hey, I'm having a really stressful day, and he'd be like, okay, well, sure, I'll grab the takeaway on the way home, or I will cook us dinner, or I'll have something ready. And you have your conversation and forget about the day. Whereas before I would have been like, okay, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? So I think there is a little bit of that as well, that support system.
Yeah. But as you said, it has to be a good one.
Has to be a good one. There's nothing more stressful in life. Like, if you think of all the psychotherapists, everything, if you look at the confessions pages and, modern morals and Irish independence and everything, you are looking at people, your romantic partnerships, if they're not working well for you, there's going to be big issues. Yeah. Like, they're going to be a much bigger strain on your life.
What about the sharing of expenses in a relationship? Do you think everything should be 50-50 even if one partner earns more?
I think no relationship should be 50-50 anyways. I think it should be 100-100. It's a Brené Brown thing that I kind of picked up a few years ago. Everybody should give everything to the relationship. And so when it comes to finances, I think ideally the model would be that your finances are pooled. You should be in a strong enough relationship that you should be able to trust your partner to have the greater good. So there's this philosophy in South Africa. It's called Ubuntu, and it means I exist because we exist, basically. And there's a lot of sports teams in America actually use it as their philosophy. So we're all in this together. But what I actually use it for, from a relationship perspective, is if you think of 3 elements in your relationship, and it's not a love triangle by any means, but if you think of your relationship as being you, your partner, and your relationship, and they must be respected at all costs. So if you're able to have a conscious and a mature conversation with your partner about your finances, first of all, before you start dating to see if you are aligned, or not before you get married to see if you're aligned. But then sitting down and thinking to yourself, okay, we're going to align our finances. So like every couple should have, I say, 2 current accounts together. So one should be for like bills, so like your mortgage, your household bills, expenses, utilities, all those sorts of things. Second one then should be more like for holidays, groceries, those sort of things, the extra things, you know, that don't come out on a monthly basis. And then I think that you should have a personal account yourself.
A secret one.
No, it's not necessarily. You can have your secret one as well, but you should have one yourself and they should have one yourself. Like there's nothing less sexy than coming home saying I got a gorgeous pair of shoes and them saying, oh, like, did you spend money? You know, like what the hell about it? Everybody needs their independence. Absolutely. And even for women that are, say, stay-at-home parents, or men that are stay-at-home parents, having a situation that they have their own account as well. Like all the finance should be set up that you have your own money to spend every week, every month, everything. And from that you can have your own savings, and from that you can have your runaway fund and all of the lovely things that go with it. But like it is how you set up your finances, and you should be able to trust the person. If you with this kind of philosophy, the Ubuntu philosophy, you have a situation where you're doing it together. So say you have a couple and you have your savings account and you're saving for a mortgage, and one of the people in the family is pulling out that and buy 3 pairs of trainers in a month. Like it's unnecessary. Nobody needs 3 different pairs of trainers in a month. You probably have ones that are just fine, if I'm honest, you know. So if you look at that and they're taking money out of that account, that's disrespecting themselves, it's disrespecting their partner, it's also disrespecting their relationship, because it's not for the greater good of them and their family. But like that as well, if you have a couple whereby they have, like, say he decides that he's like a super saver, and you're thinking, okay, well, I haven't been on a holiday in a year, I really need a break, like I've been working so hard, I just need to get away for a few days just to reset and get back at it. And he's like, no, we save. That's not for the greater good of the family either, because they have to hear you as well. I need this, like I do need this. Now it's a different situation if you're in Spain last month for 2 weeks, but you know, there is certain things that need to be, and you have to listen to the other person in the relationship.
Yeah. So what about financial compatibility then? Because you mentioned a lot of different personality types there. Some are very thrifty, some are big spenders. But I have read a lot of cases where a spender-saver can be a good relationship dynamic, because one kind of gets the other one to calm down a little bit, and then likewise the spender helps the saver let loose a little. I
hope this is the case, because I'm most certainly a spender and my partner is a saver, but it does work well together, so it does. So I suppose there's the nice balance, and there has to be a bit of chalk and cheese, but like that there has to be the greater good for the family and the unit and everything like that. You know, opposites do attract, and it is great, and you bring different dynamics. Like there's nothing more fabulous than, you know, you're saving together and getting your dream home, or saving together and getting off on that holiday that you'd kind of been putting a bit of money together beside. There's camaraderie about it, and actually it lends itself very well for ladies dating men, because this sense of a little bit of stress and a little bit of achievement actually helps them to bond. So women need oxytocin to bond, which is like a cuddle hormone, whereas men need vasopressin, which is like slightly stress kind of camaraderie kind of hormones. So that's the unitedness together. So by achieving little things like this, financial goals along the way, it actually helps build your relationship. So respect it is what I would say. You know, he's going to have to understand, we'll say, that I like to spend a little bit more, and I'm going to have to understand, well, actually, you know what, I can't live in my shoes, so let's save up for a house and get where we want to be and pool our money together and everything. So there has to be balance. If there's an issue, so if your partner has raised the issue with your spending a number of different times, or if your partner has raised the issue of you being tight a number of different times, this is now a relationship issue, and that needs to be addressed. Like that is just as important as the financial issue is the communication and the respect within the relationship from both people.
I touched on secret bank accounts there. How common are they, and how fair are they?
I don't know if they have to be secret in all cases. In some cases, I think it is important, as I said, that each person has their own individual money. If they have a savings account off the side of that, absolutely perfect. If you feel like you're in an unsafe relationship, I definitely would have an emergency fund there. that would be my focus, would be that emergency fund. What they say is you should have between 3 and 6 months savings in the bank account. I don't know a lot of people that have that, but like start doing it. Like Revolut is fantastic, even if you want to put a little pocket there and put in €10 a day, €100 a week, whatever it is, just start is what I would say. When you have a situation where the runaway fund, like 1 in 4 marriages, like, so for every 10 people that got married in Ireland last year, or 10 couples that got married in Ireland last year, 25% of those ended in divorce. So 1 in 4 marriages in Ireland end in divorce at the moment. And separate. That doesn't include the separation yet because they don't have the stats on that. There's a lot of couples out there that are not getting divorced because of the cost of getting divorced in Ireland. So it's not the most romantic side of things to be looking at, but I would say you should always keep yourself somewhat financially independent. So always have a little bit of side money for yourself. You never know what path would bring. I get a lot of clients coming to me that are widows. Their partner may have died in an accident. I've had people coming to me that are widows in their 20s, 30s, 40s, like all age groups. You never know what's around the corner. So having a little bit of wiggle room there with money, life is different. When you can sleep at night, or you're not, and you're not worried about money, life is a little bit different. Relationships are a little bit different. So I would say, absolutely always keep yourself financially independent. And if it needs to be a secret, well, so be it.
Have you ever had clients who lied about how much money they're making?
Yes.
How did you deal with that?
First of all, we have it in our contract that, we don't ask people how much money they're earning, but I have had people that have been very, we have it in our contract to just be as honest as possible because it does help with the matching process. I think people kind of big themselves up more. So I think ladies sometimes try and kind of enhance who they are a little bit to try and move further up the ladder in matching. It doesn't really work like that, okay? So I'm going to match you with the person that's most appropriate for you. I'm going to sit there, do a consultation with you. I'm going to get to know you, the type of person you like to meet, and then anything else that I feel might help me to match you. So money is a slight factor in it. Your type of job you do is a slight factor in it. But overall, we're looking at the bigger picture. So you don't need to. Men tend to show off a little bit more if they like the lady. And sometimes ladies can come back to me and say, he was just really cocky, or he was like, really like showing off. And sometimes I kind of say to them, well, do you think maybe he really fancied you and he's trying to impress you, or was it to the point of cocky and obnoxious? And very often a second date will nearly sort that out. It's everybody relax again, and I'll give him a little bit of side feedback saying, here, tone it down a little bit. You don't need to be showing her pictures of your boat and your motorbike and all this sort of thing.
Yes.
But everybody tries to put their best foot forward when they're dating. The problem is when
I think so. You're selling the house.
You are selling yourself. Yeah, you are. You're selling the life. There you are. Absolutely.
Big time. What about the business itself, matchmaking? Is it a lucrative industry that you're in?
Yeah, so I've been doing it now for 9 years. It is absolutely profitable industry to be in. The rewards are, as I said, are absolutely phenomenal. Like helping people to find love. What greater job can you do in the world? I was away there recently and I was speaking to a man that builds drones for war, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, give me the love matchmaking any day, Yeah. So absolutely. There's all different price points in it. At Love HQ Matchmaking, we're extremely competitive. How our business model works from a business perspective is I try to keep it as competitive as possible. So the pricing is set at expensive enough that we're not going to get any time wasters, that people are not just throwing money at it, but reasonable enough that we have a huge amount of clients. So it's affordable for people. And I think that's where I will always keep it, is that people are able to, someone or two might have to save up a little bit to do it, other people might just like throw a couple of €100 at it and go, let's go. But anybody that comes to me is genuinely interested in finding long-term real love. There is a huge amount of integrity with it. I don't just send people on dates just for the sake of it. So there unfortunately are some matchmakers that just, you're both in your 40s and you're living in County Cork, off you go together.
Yeah, you're made for each other.
Yeah, you can't do that. You're very, you don't have a sustainable business if you're going to be at that. So what I would say is, there are limits as well. I genuinely will only match 2 people if I think they're going to be suitable for each other. And that's why it is as successful as it is. I personally meet every single person. So it is hard work. I drive all around Ireland meeting them. I have support staff, but I'm actually doing all of the matchmaking and meeting clients in person. But we also work with some of the most elite dating agencies in the world. So they have contacted me and said, will you please match our clients that are based in Ireland? And so for some of those matchmaking agencies, they could be upwards of €50,000 to join those. So it all depends on where you kind of position yourself. I'm very happy with where I'm positioned, but yeah, we do work a lot with elite matchmakers all over the world as well. So maybe come to us first and see how you get on.
Has anyone ever asked for their money back?
Yeah, you would get that sometimes. Sometimes people might join and they might realise they're not ready for this and want to run. You might also have a situation where people are maybe a little bit unsure as to who they are themselves. So I had one guy one day and he was so far removed from where he was, he came in very unassuming. I mean that now in a very kind way, but came in and had a list longer than his arm. He was essentially, looking for a Victoria's Secret model. Let's just say he would probably not have been compatible with the Victoria's Secret model. Yeah. So, in that situation, you have to tread very delicately. You have to be we're going to be trying realistic. Now, he didn't ask for his money back because I actually didn't invite him to join because I was like, I'm not going to be able to match you what you're looking for, okay? But you do get a little bit of unrealistic. For some people then, maybe, not ready to date. They're kind of the mains. It's very rare. If most cases, sometimes people go off, they end up going on dates or dating someone for a few years and then coming back to us, or they might end up sending people to us. It's very, very rare that people ask for their money back.
Yeah. And tell me, the relationship you're in now.
Yes.
What is that like? I mean, you did mention you're a spender, but you're also a former financial advisor. So have you taken the reins there to a certain degree in terms of the financial goals that you're plotting for you guys?
Well, there's a side twist here now. He's actually a senior manager in a financial company. So he's also a financial advisor. So I can take the back seat, passenger princess, in the financials and everything. I suppose we work very well together. He's very good with money. We're both very respectful of our finances, but also our dreams. We are very consciously deciding what we want to do, where do we want to live, where do we want to buy, all of those things, our life plans together. And so we know where we're going with that. And I think that's the nicest part, is the communication, the working together. And when I go out and meeting clients on a day-to-day basis, I'm so grateful. And I regularly even cry on the way home because of how lonely some of my clients are, to think that I'm going home to this lovely relationship. Now, I will say, the reason I am a financial advisor is because of all the different meander and all the people I met myself along the way. So when you meet the person that ticks all of those boxes, you are very, very lucky. And so I'm very lucky that he takes the financial lead, thankfully. But we work very well together.
Excellent. But you specialise in real life dating.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are still in the apps.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, any tips for people like that who are navigating the apps and want to find someone with whom they're financially aligned? Can that be something you can get talking about in the chat when you're chatting before you actually meet up, or should that wait for a first date? How do you get a sense of who they are and if they're financially compatible with you?
I think you can, any sort of conversation that gets started. So if you are looking at going online dating and everything like that, I will say, position your photographs towards the person that you would like to date. So if it is a case you want to meet someone who's financially sound or something, picture yourself in nice places, not too extravagant, okay, but somewhat nice places. Because if they're looking at your photograph and they think you're high maintenance before you even swipe, they're not the right person for you. So have a realistic reflection of your life as to what type of places you like to go to. Don't be on private jets and sitting on a yacht and all this sort of thing, right? Tinder's not the place to find that man. But, be realistic in who you are, and just be your best feminine self or best masculine self. Really be conscious as to who you are, how you're putting yourself out there, what you're looking for. The first thing is starting with yourself. Also, if you are single at the moment, use this time to get yourself financially set up. If you do have a little bit of a credit issue there, start paying off your debts. List your debts from the smallest one to the largest one, and just start paying those off. Get rid of all those things. Start saving. Have your little emergency fund ready, and think to yourself, where would I like to go when I have this lovely partner? Because life just kind of, when you do meet your person, it just gets very fast, is what I would say. You're off gallivanting this weekend, next weekend, everything like that. So it is nice to have a little bit of money to play with. But, just having the conversations with them, you do learn a lot. If they're saying they're going out with the lads every single weekend, you go, okay, well, they're very big into their social life. If they're saying that they're sitting in every weekend, you know, and they're saving for a house or something like that, it just shows you a different mindset they're in. People show you who they are. Listen to them. Really have a look, you know. And if in doubt, always just ask the question. No question should scare a potential partner off if they're the right person for you.
Mm-hmm. And I do love that advice about just tipping away if you are single, taking that time. I think just taking time for yourself in general, but that idea of taking time to chip away at your debt and to build up a little nest egg, because you're going to go into the dating world a lot more financially empowered, just empowered.
Yes, absolutely.
Financial empowerment is empowerment.
That is. And like, you're also then going to choose differently. If you were kind of on the back foot in your own life, if you're not, you know, reaching your own kind of goals on your own, you're going to be looking for someone to save you. And you're going to make different decisions there. If you're dating even from a perspective of loneliness as well, you're going to make different decisions. So why not date from a place of strength, from, you know, I am who I am, I'm in a good place myself, and I'm going to make sound decisions. Because like, if you meet somebody and your finances are not great and their financials are really good and they're kind of whisking you off your feet, you know, are you going to think to yourself, do I genuinely love this person? Or are you going to say, I enjoy this lifestyle and I'm going to stick with this? So look at the bigger picture and just consciously live your life.
Mairead Loughman, great advice. Thank you so much for coming
Lovely.
on.
Thank you so much for having me.